And now we come to the heavy breathing. This is day 4 of a 4-day trip we did back in Idaho late summer. And so I'm already gassed from 3 days of riding before this. We've already ridden for 2 hours up these trails, and it gets pretty nasty here. And there is a lot of zone 5 heart rate right here. A lot of heavy breathing. Just want to let you take you through this. But this is it's a bike I've already given away, my 2021 KTM 300 XCW. This was epic.
Hike out and breathe.
300 trail, not 250.
Now we know.
You know, most of the time I try to pride myself on standing up, but you'll notice I'm sitting right now, and it's basically just because at certain points of your rides, especially on longer days or multi-day trips, it just becomes survival at certain points of the ride, and it's difficult to even remember how tough it is in that mindset. Like, I remember this day, and I only am recording for the first half of the day. This day ended up being one of the most, if not the most grueling day that I've ever had on a dirt bike, and this was just the beginning of it. Where this video ends is kind of like the first, 35% of the day, and I basically didn't film anything after where this video will end today. And you kind of go into survival mode a little bit. And obviously I'm standing here, but there will be times, boom, I'll just sit my butt down because I'm like, I don't have the energy to stay up and to muscle the bike. It's amazing how, certain times you can save a ton of energy by standing, and then other times it's like your muscles are like, I can't do this. I can't do it right now. I can't hang on. It's too steep. There's too many different things, and you just kind of end up resorting with your butt down on the seat. Now, as we ride more and more, see, I'm still standing here through that switchback. As we ride more and more, we become more and more efficient on the bike. But again, this is after 200 miles of single track in the last few days, and I was just totally gassed. And I remember thinking at the time, like right here, I was still enjoying myself, but there were times towards the end of this day where I was just like, will this ever end? Will this ever end? And it's funny because when you're in those situations, all you can think about is, when can I get out of this? When can I get out of this? And then a lot of times those more difficult rides, they become kind of near and dear to your heart, and you think back on them with fondness, and it's like an accomplishment. You feel a great sense of accomplishment that you kind of pushed beyond some of the mental barriers and things that you had. On this particular ride, we had, I think, 8 or 9 guys with us to start. They're still all with us. And once we get up kind of to a certain point of the trail, it's basically the end of this edit that I'm going to do for you today. We split off, and 6 people went back to the truck. 3 people kept going. It might have been 4 of us kept going, and tried to complete a loop which no one knew about, and because no one had been on these trails in our group. There were such beautiful lakes up here. It's just one of my favorite places on earth. Here in the Rocky Mountains, but lots of tight switchbacks on this trip. We had tons of switchback practice, and what I've been trying to do mostly, even at the beginning of the video, is I'm trying not to spin my tire. It's one of the things I've worked on the last year and a half, is when you're in these tight situations, when you're on these hill climbs, let's use our clutch, let's try to keep traction to the ground, and let's not spin the wheel, so it's been a big emphasis for me, is just not spin my rear wheel and not dig up these trails if at all possible. Now, at certain times, sometimes it's almost impossible not to spin the wheel, but I think if you try to maintain your weight on the pegs or weight back on the seat and feather your clutch through these things, it's best if you can get up these rocky climbs or loose climbs without spinning the rear wheel so that you can maintain traction. And that was heavy on my mind. It's one of the reasons why I love the gummy tires, or even the hybrid gummy tires, is they get such amazing traction. And especially because I'm running tubeless most of the time on my wheel sets, that means sometimes I'm running 2 pounds. Like, I can't remember exactly which tire I had on today. It was probably a Shinko 520 DC on this bike. Really soft gummy compound, and I was probably running 3 pounds of pressure. Which sound, some of you would be like, hey, what is that? I mean, how are you even doing that? Well, with tubeless, you can, and you can see now I'm back up on the pegs in the easier parts because I'm trying to stay up. I'm trying to stay up if it's a place where I have the energy, and we're pretty much up to the top of this now, where we'll kind of regroup as a group, have a little bit of a snack, and then decide who's going to continue forward and who's going to go back to the trucks and basically backtrack through what we came. And my thought was, I wanted to see the entire loop if possible, and I didn't want to give up the ground he had gained. Most of a lot of the nasty stuff I didn't film for you because it was just super heavy breathing and not really interesting. But you get up to the top of some of these things, and I'm like, I don't want to just turn around and go back, because in a way, it felt like kind of defeat, like admitting defeat. If you get up to the top of this thing and then just go straight back to the truck, then you have to go back through all that nasty stuff on the way down. And I kind of wanted to see what the loop looked like finishing the loop. So me and Tyler and Kern, and I can't remember who else came with us, we ended up finishing the loop. So it was intense. Probably one of the definitely as far as Alpine single track, the most difficult day I've had in Alpine single track on a dirt bike. So pretty stinking cool, and fond memories of that trip.